It's the Rush Utah High School Sports every day. Here we go, Larry. Said, huh?
Who is your Cy Young for the 2026 season?
I don't know if they do a pitcher of the year. I know they do Mr. Baseball. A lot of the times it is a pitcher. I don't know if they just do a Cy Young type award. So that's what we're going to try to do. It depends on what you prioritize most. Is it ERA? Is it wins? Is it winning a championship? Is it strikeouts? Because you've got a variety of different pitchers. Let's start with Waylon Sorensen from Gunnison Valley, who gets them to a Final Four. They were the 3 seed. He had a 0.88 ERA, had a bunch of Ks. What was his K number, Larry? 117 Ks to 17 walks, went 7-3 for the Bulldogs. So he's up there. I mean, he and Braxton Pickett. Waylon probably had a better statistical year. 2 really great pitchers who pushed each other all year.
Who are the top 5 defensive teams with stars returning this year?
All right, we're starting with Olympus at number 5, Larry. Olympus went 6-6 last year, but their defense was tremendous. If you look at a lot of their games, their low-scoring losses where they're losing by 3 or 4 points, like against Brighton, they lose 14-10. Their defense only gives up 2 scores, and they lose. Against Park City, they lose 10-3. They only gave it 1 touchdown and couldn't win the game. Skyline, they lose 14-9. So defense was not the issue last year. We'll see if they can put more points up on the board because their defense has been tremendous. Their leading tackler who's back this year is Sam Brown. If you haven't seen Sam's highlight tape, Larry, go check it out. He's a ball hawk, playing center field. He runs down everything. I think he had 5 interceptions last year, 23 tackles. He blocked a field goal, helps in the run, comes up on blitzes and gets in the backfield. Really fun player to watch and is poised to have a huge season for Olympus this year. Number 4 best defense as far as points allowed per game last year was Harriman. Only 14 points per game allowed. By the way, Olympus's number was 15.8 points per game allowed. Harriman at number 4, 14 points per game. Their leading guy back is Kemper Castro, coming off the edge. 70 tackles last season, 21 tackles for loss, and 6.5 sacks for Harriman. They were 10-2 last year, going to be good again this year, and only gave up 2 touchdowns a game last season. We go to number 3. That's Orem, state champs in 5A, 11.7 points per game, and Will Rasmussen, one of their key guys back this year. He had 67 tackles, 25 passes defensed, and 3 interceptions for the Tigers last year. And excited to see how they ball out this season. Our guy, Coach Andy Stokes, there for his first year in Orem. Number 2, we're going to West. And we talked about West's offense last year and Camden Lopati and how many points did they put up, Larry? 49 points per game or something like that. Maybe it was over 50. Their defense was equally as impressive. 9.5 points per game given up by the West defense. Takashi Savary, 68 tackles, 37 tackles for loss. That's more than a couple per game behind the backfield. He had 37 TFLs, 12 sacks, 57 hurries. And in one game against Cyprus, he had 7 tackles behind the line of scrimmage. That's why he's being looked at by everybody. He was just a freshman last year and is one of the top recruits as an edge rusher in the region. So watch out for him for West. They're poised to have another huge year with a ton of blowouts. Basketball scores where they're scoring in the 70s and their opponents are below 10 points. And Savary has a big hand in that again this year. What a season he had as a 9th grader. We're going to the number 1 team defense from last year, the Ridgeline Riverhawks. How about these boys? Just gave up 8.7 points per game. We're highlighting Colton Clark, who had 43 tackles last year, 6 passes defense, 3 interceptions. Their differential last season was they score 52, their opponent scores 8. You go back to some of their crazy scores 2 weeks in a row where they score 70, their opponent scores 0. That was a generational team last year for Coach Cox. Blew everybody out, wasn't close. State tournament, same thing. Got the state championship. They lose some talent. We know Crew Jones on the defensive side transferred. They graduated a bunch of their stars on offense. But have guys coming back like Colton Clark, who is a bona fide playmaker. Ridgeline, top defense from last year as far as points given up, less than 9, 8.7 points per game. And we'll see if they can keep that pace up this year defensively. All right, we're going to take a break. Show today brought to you, as always, by our friends at Appliance Wholesalers. Plus, they've been supporting athletes down here in Southern Utah for over 25 years. If you want a cheat code to get a great deal on your appliances, refrigerators, whatever you need, washers, dryers, Appliance Wholesaler Plus across the freeway from the Bloomington Walmart, big supporter of local athletes down here in Southern Utah. Big supporter. Appliance Wholesalers Plus, big supporter of local athletes down here in Southern Utah. We'll be right back. All right, Wannabe John Boy is brought to you by Nets on Fire. Nets on Fire, the premier basketball training facility in all of Southern Utah. Go to netsonfire.org to get your team signed up for their summer tournament. Some of the best talent in the state comes down here all summer long. Great competition all the way from first grade up through high school. Big stuff going on at Nets on Fire, netsonfire.org. Go get signed up. Here we go, Larry. We're doing our Wannabe John Boy. We got George Thurston from Morgan. We'll do him first. And then second, we've got Olin Clawson from Desert Hills. Let's go.
All right, we're looking at the Morgan Trojans last year. The motion man is George Thurston. We're going to spotlight him. They're playing the Georgia Bulldogs. Here is the snap. I think this is 4 verts. Now, Eli Mortensen is the solo receiver on the top. He won't be with them this year. He transferred, but Thurston had near 800-yard season last year, and he's going to get over 1,000 yards, I think, this year for Morgan. And we're just going to see a simple make the safety, flip his hips play here on everybody going deep. And this was kind of a bread and butter play for him all season. Jabs out, safety over pursues it, and Thurston is a bingo ball for a touchdown there for Morgan. All right, boom. We're looking at Olin Clawson, who played tackle and center last year for Desert Hills. He's at center right here. This is just a step left, and he's going to pop the big fella here. Probably outweighs him by 50, 70 pounds, and just knocks him out of the play and allows Titan Mason to go for a chunk right up the middle. And the versatility was big time. Here he is at left tackle. This is against Snow Canyon. Watch him swallow up this spin move, trying to get to the quarterback. He stays athletic and is able to finish off the block on the short pass here. Just showing the quickness, staying on the balls of his feet and not allowing a pretty good move from the edge here to get home. And then against Hurricane, once again, left tackle. Hurricane running it to the left on an outside zone play. And he meets the punch and reaches here and is able to seal the edge, and not only seal it, but drive it back about 5 yards. Still a good play by Hurricane. The safety comes up here and makes a play, but Olin Clawson is going to be big for the Thunder with, new coaching staff, some familiar faces back like Coach Frankie and Coach Sewell, Tanner Baldry in his first year. So excited to see the Thunder in action this fall. Sponsored by Grass Creek Construction, bringing visions to life for over 20 years.
Welcome back. It's The Rush. We've got the man in the house, Harmon Skeen. This segment is brought to you by Appliance Wholesalers Plus. They've been supporting Region 9 athletes for over 25 years down here in Southern Utah. And Harmon, I wanted to start with congratulations for being named the Max Preps Player of the Year in the state of Utah. Tell me about how you found out and kind of how that all went down.
So I was just kind of chilling, and Jagan actually texted me and sent me the link to all the 50. It was like the 50 players of the year from Max Prep, and I scrolled through it down to Utah and saw my name. And I mean, I don't want to say it was surprising, but I mean, when you see something like that, it's definitely exciting. So yeah, that's how I found out.
Amazing. Yeah, that was awesome. So this is going to be a baseball story with Harmon Skeen, everybody. We're going back to the beginning. He's a kid that younger baseball players around the state are going to look up to. So we want to kind of hear his story. Let's go back to your first ever dinger, Harmon. What do you remember? How old were you and what happened?
I think it was 9U Little League All-Stars back when they used to let you use the hot skinny barrel bats. I mean, just kind of like perfect scenario, we got the game on the smallest field possible and just barreled one up, sent it out of there. And I mean, it's obviously special to me, but
amazing. What was the process like as far as
going up through the youth ranks, travel baseball. What was your career like before high school as far as the competitive nature and what kind of path you took to get there?
So I actually moved to St. George back right before sixth grade, and I had played Little League all the way up till then. But when I moved, I kind of lost the love for baseball for a year or two. But I met a great coach, Josh Zockel, and he got me back into playing, and I grew my love for it again and played travel baseball with this team from kids all around called the Alliance, and that kind of just built me up right into high school. Played with CBA a little bit, but I mean, with the last couple years before, like seventh, eighth grade, right before high school, just tournaments in Arizona and Vegas, like everyone does with those travel teams.
I think that's kind of common for kids to kind of get burned out at a certain point of their
Mhm.
youth career. What would you say to a kid who might be in that situation, who's got a lot of talent, who might be in a situation where they're like, I'm kind of sick of playing baseball right now?
I mean, sometimes it is a good decision to take a break, but I mean, as long as you keep playing, you're going to develop that love again, just because it's the greatest sport in the world.
Talking with Harmon Skeen, who was recently named the Max Preps Player of the Year for the state of Utah. All right, let's get to high school, Harmon. Tell me about your career at Desert Hills. Tons of success, but just kind of overall evaluate your experience at Desert Hills here in St. George.
Yeah, as you know, we have the new coach this year, but it started with Coach Kevin Cave.
Yeah.
And as a freshman, I got my fair share of varsity time, pitched a lot, got some ABs, played a little bit in the field. But I mean, as a freshman, I was just young and we had great players above me, obviously, that were going to play. So my freshman year, just kind of try to help out as much as I can, especially with the pitching. So freshman year, a lot of pitching. Sophomore year, I worked into that starting spot at short. And that's kind of my breakthrough point. I feel like at the plate where I kind of developed that plus ability to be able to hit the ball, hit the ball hard. And then junior year, I felt like was just kind of the year to prove myself, to show everyone that I'm not a fluke, because I had that great sophomore year.
Yeah.
So junior year, played, started short, the same thing, batted, I think two hole, led off for a little bit, maybe 3 and 4 hole a little bit, but stayed around in that front of the lineup and just kind of showed what I have. And then obviously this year was kind of my year to show the power that I have and really all that I've got and kind of put it out on the table.
How did your power kind of develop over time? Because you've always been a slugger,
Mhm.
but this was just obviously at a record-setting year.
Yeah, so obviously I hit a good amount of home runs in years past, but this year I think I kind of over the summer I kind of was having troubles with my swing and I kind of just did a reset. I mean, I started hitting with my dad like a lot more than usual, developing my swing path, and a lot of it was spending time in the weight room, and getting enough power to not only be able to hit it out when I barrel it perfectly, but I'll be able to get it out if I miss it a little bit still. So that's kind of what helped, was weight room and just finding the perfect swing for myself.
And then I was going to ask you about your development also in the field
Mhm.
at shortstop over that same time period.
Yeah. So believe it or not, before high school, I wasn't a infielder. I played a lot of outfield and kind of just hopped around. But as I was coming up into my freshman year, Coach Cave kind of stuck me at short and worked with me a lot on all my defensive aspects. I think that's the biggest part of why I play short now and play the infield. But he just helped me grow to love it, and obviously I've succeeded at that position, so that's where I play. But that's a lot of that was development with Cave, and then just like keeping at it, working hard at it.
Now, if I'm reading things right, I wasn't there this day, but did you have a day where you hit 4 home runs early in the season? And
I
what the
did,
heck
yes.
happened and what was that like?
That was a crazy day. That was probably, I think it was the second weekend, like preseason tournament. We had a game against, I think it was an Idaho team and then West Jordan. So
That Idaho team ain't coming back, whoever they
uh,
were.
yeah, no, the pitcher was actually pretty good. He He was probably mid to high 80s, throwing pretty hard. But first inning, I just found a fastball outside corner, pushed it to right center, and then I came up again, and I kind of knew, I'm like, I don't think this guy's gonna throw me a fastball again. So I think I got into like a 2-1 count or something, and he came with a changeup low and just threw my hands at it, and it left out to left center. So those were the first 2 home runs in that first game. I think we ended up run ruling that team. And then the second game, West Jordan, I think that was a 9 p.m. game. It was a late game, and I think I was just seeing the ball really well. I got first at bat of that game. I got a fastball middle and just absolutely destroyed it to left field. So by that point, I was like, okay, this is crazy. I'm seeing the ball well. My swing feels good. So it came down to this. I think we got into the 6th inning, and they had a big inning to where I think they either tied it or they were down one. And it was at this point, the game was getting super chirpy. And I was coming up that next inning. I was like, I got to do something so that we can kind of get a cushion for our pitchers and so we can get that momentum back, because they had some momentum from their scoring. It was getting pretty chippy, and I came up to the plate again, and I think somehow I got another fastball and just absolutely drilled it on a line out to left, and it was just kind of bittersweet. It's kind of exactly what you want to happen in that situation, and it was like 4th home run of the day. It's just crazy.
That is insane. Um, what percentage of your home runs this year would you say were on off speed or breaking pitches versus fastball?
Oof,
You
I
just
got.
described one off a changeup. I'm wondering how
Uh-huh.
many of those you got.
I think most of my home runs were off speed. I think very few of them were fastballs, and
Really?
I think if I think every home run after, like, once we started region, I think all those were off speed. I'm pretty sure.
Wow. Because you just weren't seeing a lot of fastballs,
No,
obviously.
I wasn't. So I got to the point where I kind of just knew what they were going to throw me, Like, there's to a point they're intentionally walking me, and if they're not walking me, they're not throwing it close to the zone.
Yeah.
So you just get in that rhythm. You're like, you kind of just pick up on the order that they're throwing me. So I wouldn't say I sit pitches, but sometimes I do if they're heavily off speed. But I feel like I'm really good at seeing the spin and being able to adjust.
And were most of your home runs a few pitches into a count versus early in the count?
So that goes along with what I'm talking about. If I'm sitting an off speed pitch, first pitch, I'm gonna hit it out first pitch. So if I'm sitting on a pitch, I'll hit it out first pitch. But I think a lot of them were into a little deeper in the counts. I think I only had one 2-strike home run this year.
Okay.
So I was kind of just working to get the pitch that I wanted to see. But I think quite a few of them were first pitch, but I think most of them were deeper in the counts.
What tips, if you're teaching a class, let's say Harmon,
Mhm.
to a ninth grader or whatever, who's a big, strong kid and wants to be a power hitter, what's a tip that maybe you didn't learn until you were in high school or late in high school that you would pass on?
I think the biggest thing that I would pass on is you got to work hitting backspin to all fields. Like, you can't just have one side of the field that you hit it well to, especially in the higher levels of baseball. Like, you got to be able to hit it where it's pitched. And I mean, not all home runs are going to be pulled, perfect. You got to be able to put it oppo. You got to be able to put it in the gaps and be able to turn on a ball inside. So I think being able to hit the ball anywhere is the biggest thing.
And tell me more about hitting with backspin.
Backspin. So what I focused a lot on, like I was telling you about my swing path and stuff, is to just generate as much backspin on the ball off my bat so it'll carry as far as it can. Because obviously, if you catch the top of the ball or swing up through it kind of around, it's gonna have that top spin and just die. So if you have that backspin, it's gonna carry more true. You're gonna hit the ball farther and more pure.
Amazing. I'm learning a lot. I played baseball back in the day where I played Babe Ruth and just went out there and
Yeah,
nowadays, you guys are doing like major league stuff.
yeah.
Um,
Thinking about a lot more things.
shout out a couple of people that helped you get to this point of success in your baseball career with still a lot more baseball left in your career, but give me a couple of people that helped you get this far.
So for sure, I've got to give it to my younger coaches like Josh Zockel, Jake Rowley. I got to give it to Coach Cave. for sure. He's been a big impact on my career and where I've wanted to go. I got to give it to Jagan for just making this last season so sweet. And I think I got to give it to my Air Force brothers, Ro and Bo, for helping me get into this position. I mean, the last 3 years, all we've done is work together and push each other to be better. And then I've got to give it to my dad, who's invested in me my whole life and spent all those hours throwing to me and hit me ground balls and helping me believe in myself.
Awesome. Let's see. Tell us a little bit more about your decision to go to Air Force and your excitement to play there after your mission.
Yeah, for sure. I was kind of talking to Bo about it because he committed last year, and we always talked about it a little bit. And I wasn't really sure where I was going to end up with, where I was going to end up at after this summer, but all the pieces kind of aligned. I mean, it's crazy how many schools are not pro mission for people like me that are going to
Yeah.
mission and come back to play. So I was talking to them all summer. I went out on visits, and they were one of the few schools that was pro mission, and it was just a perfect fit for me. Like I've always wanted to fly. So that's an awesome opportunity for me.
Awesome.
They have one of the best educations in the world.
Sure.
And I mean, their coaching staff, what's not to love? They're some of the greatest people I've ever met.
Amazing. Well, congratulations, Harmon. You've been so fun to watch for the last 4 years down here in Southern Utah. And to go out the way you did this senior year was just special. So congrats on a great career. Thanks for making time for us.
Thank
And
you.
good luck in your future playing ball with Air Force. And we'll be following you all the way through. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Thank you.
Harmon Skeen, everybody, brought to you by Appliance Wholesalers Plus. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back on The Rush right after this. Send us your highlights, Andy at therushutah.com or anywhere on social media at The Rush Utah. It's The Rush Utah, high school sports every day.